following the show for a while, you'll already know today's guest. If you have even a passing interest in self-defense, self-protection, or situational awareness, his work will likely already be familiar to you. He grew up in a tumultuous environment, went on to serve with the British Royal Marines, and from there, the UK Special Forces. Later, he worked in executive protection and corporate surveillance. His new book, Man Protect, pulls from all of these to help you better understand danger, read human behavior, and move through the world with more confidence and clarity. Welcome back to the Silvercore Podcast, my friend, Sonny Smith.
Thanks for having me back.
Right on,
It's been a few years, hasn't it?
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
So much has happened, actually, in that time, but I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for having us back.
Why don't you catch me up on what's happened between the last podcast and help catch up the audience, and now?
Well, I started a new career, a little side hustle, which is professional bare knuckle boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Had 4 professional fights in that time, one that you attended, actually.
That was a fun one.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Edmonton. I was headlining that show. Unfortunately, I lost, but that is the sport of bare knuckle boxing. It's a savage sport. Some say the most savage sport. And everyone I look up to has lost bare knuckle fights. In my younger days, I lost bare knuckle fights. When you're flying these fists at each other, someone's going down. And that's why it's so exciting.
Well, that's what surprised me. Like when I first started watching it, I'd never watched bare knuckle boxing before I met you. And there you are. You're out in the stage at the, what is it, the O2 Arena in London. And I'm watching you on the pay-per-view. And man, some of these fights, they're one punch and they're done and it's over. And it only takes that one punch in the right way to really change the outcome. And like I'd watch these guys, I'm like, oh, for sure, this guy's going to win over here. And the other guy, hey, he got in. Maybe he wasn't bigger. Maybe he wasn't tougher or whatever it might be. So you're going in. It's like court maybe. They say you have a 100% successful case. You go into court and the second you step foot in, it's, 70% you're going to win.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And it's real, If you're ever standing in the doorway of your home and you're defending your family, then you're fighting with your bare fists. That's why I like it. And yeah, no matter how good you are, you can always get caught with that wrong shot. The eyes are exposed all the time. A lot of fights are stopped from getting hit in the eye. So I actually train with an eye patch sparring sometimes because you're going to lose an eye at some point. It's going to either swell up or you're going to get hit in it and you're going to have to fight through that. But yeah, just get hit on the wrong place, on the chin. Then you get dropped. My last fight, I got dropped with a jab, which in normal boxing, you get dropped with a jab. People kind of laugh at that. But yeah, you can't laugh at bare knuckle boxing.
Well, I remember after the fight was over, everyone's kind of clearing out, and myself and Jace and Chance, and we went in behind security, back behind everyone else. We just said, oh, no, we're here. We're supposed to be good, right? And everyone just let us walk on through. We go into the back area. We're looking for you. And like, oh, man, where's Sonny? And we're searching up and down, and finally Jace and Chance are like, well, I guess he's not here. Well, let's make plans of what we're going to do next. Maybe he took off. And I'm like, just give me a moment. I'm going to just check this one last room. And I go in this back area down the stairs, and there you were with some very concerned doctors and nurses and people sitting around. You're like, yeah, I'm fine. And they're like, and they're sitting there stitching you up. And I remember it was Jace who pointed it out. He's like, hey, mate, is your nose supposed to look like that?
Yeah, it was at a different angle. It was actually at a right angle. It was been broken many times, but at that break was the worst. And I had to have that reset about a week later. And that was one of the most painful experiences of my life. Actually, at that time, the doctor tried to reset it right there, but it didn't do it.
I remember I was watching him do it. He's like, here, let's see what we can do. And you're like, ah.
I actually thought, because a lot of the time they think that I've broken my nose when I haven't, because it was already bent. So I was like, nah, it's fine. It's already bent. Not until I actually looked in the mirror way later, and I was like, whoa, actually. So it was like facing that way. It was like, it was horrendous.
Well, you just kept saying that. You're like, oh, it's fine. It's normal. My nose is always like this. I'm like, I don't think so. And the doctor's like, can you pull up some pictures of Sonny before the fight and after? And so we're pulling this stuff up. He's like, yeah, no, this is going to need some attention.
Yeah. Well, they actually said, I'll give it a few days and then go to the A&E. And So I did that. And when I got to A&E, they was like, oh, you've left it too long. We can't reset it. And I was like, well, come on. Someone's got to do something. I can't walk around like this for the rest of my life. So then there was like, oh, there's one doctor down in Richmond that might be able to help you. And then there was like 5 days gap for that appointment. When I got down there, he was like, no, you've left it way too long. I'm not doing anything. And I was like, come on, please. I'm going to have a friend break it for me.
Right.
And then he was like, oh, there's one other guy that I can give you to.
Dr. Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, up in West Van.
Okay.
And I went into that. It was a full-on like a rhinoplasty surgery.
Okay.
It was like a plastic surgeon, basically. And everyone else in this waiting room were like rich Iranian women from that area that were getting full-on thousands of dollar nose jobs. But I got it for free because I was passed there through the A&E system.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, I can do something for you, but it won't be very pleasant. And he had me in his chair, and he had these 2 metal rods up my nose. He had 1 foot on the chair, and he was just going boom, boom, boom. And I was sitting there like that, like, oh, fuck.
Did he freeze it?
He gave me the little anesthetic injections around it to numb it, but it didn't fully numb it, and I could feel inside. It was just fucking... But I'm very thankful that he did that because I had to walk around like that, and it was a joke. It was so sideways. But that was a painful experience, I have to admit.
You know, in my early 20s, I had a few too many drinks before going out my first time whitewater rafting, and I was running through this field out in the we rafted down the Thompson River, and they had a big cinder block, and I broke my little toe. Thought nothing of it.
Yeah.
Let the thing heal up. We'll go to the doctor. Doctor says there's nothing we can do about this. You left it too long. This was ways longer. And so I know what I'll do. So I just put a wedge in between my toe, and I figured I'd give it a whack and break it back. And I did, but I broke it in the wrong place. So now if you look at my little toe, my kids call it my shillelagh. little zigzag there. Yep.
Jeez.
But yeah, I was surprised too, because the doctor's like, no self-respecting doctor is going to fix your nose if you're still fighting. But you're still fighting, aren't you?
Yeah, and he actually put me on the list for actual surgery, full rhinoplasty, but I haven't gone with that because I am still fighting. I plan to fight in probably February, March this year, 2026. And I still don't have an opponent. I'm still waiting for the opponent, but I'm got that in my mind now.
Well, you were headlining on that one too. And I remember on the headline, we're looking at this and the stats between it is like, why are they matching the two? One's got a much longer reach and he's, different weight look like. And
he is a middleweight actually, usually. And we fought welterweight. He's had 2 fights in middleweight. So he was cutting quite a bit to get to that level. And I have no shame in losing to him. He's a good guy. He's 4-0, 4 knockouts now.
Good for him.
And the only person that's knocked him down is me.
Excellent.
Which I'm pretty happy with that fight. I've watched it back, and it's, for one round, that is back and forth action. It's trademark bare knuckle. That's why the BKFC is so big now.
Well, if anyone ever wants to watch bare knuckle boxing, like for me, when I was watching it for the first time, I'm like, what? That's it? The fight's already over? And of course, the person's bleeding everywhere and they have to pull them and the other one wins. It's like, these are so quick. But then you get on and you go the distance. There's one thing that you carry with you, and that's massive heart and massive, I am just not going down.
Yeah, that's carried with me for my whole life. Even if I'm quite proud of that. Even when I got knocked out before that, I'm still trying to get up. It's in my consciousness to just get up. Like, there's no quitting me. And actually, maybe I shouldn't say this, but there's some bare knuckle fighters out there that you see they get hit. They haven't got hit in the eye, and they go down. They stay down. For me, I'm like, what the hell are you even doing in there? Like, what is this? Well, it's not a bloody chess match. Do you know what I mean?
I think for a lot of people, their mental preparation might not extend past the training. Hey, I'm going to train, I'm going to go in, and I'm going to win. And if I don't, well, then they don't have that mental framework for what happens when everything's going sideways.
Yeah, and also getting hit with a bare knuckle punch is way different than getting hit with a glove on. And people don't really experience that until they're in there. You get glove boxers that come over to bare knuckle and they're not doing very good, to be honest. Right. They're getting There's different rule changes. You can clinch and punch. You can grab hold of them and throw shots. And that's how I knocked Drew down. I was grabbing him by the head and fucking giving him some. You know what I mean? And in boxing, you're not allowed to do that, obviously. Right. But it's an agreed part of the sport, which changes it in niche fighting quite dramatically to be able to grapple a little bit standing up, clinching. One of the main fighters, bantamweight champion, Kai Stewart, he's a wrestler in his background, and he's undefeated champion over many like traditional class boxers. He's just demolished them because he's using wrestling standing up, off balancing them and then hitting them when they're like kind of in boxing. If you're shoulder barging, like you're not allowed to do that. It's
right.
Just it's a different element that makes it more exciting.
Yeah, well, it's exciting for sure, and it's you can't have a weak stomach going into it because it's a gnarly sport. But you're going to be back in it, huh?
Yeah. That's can't leave it like that. You know what I mean?
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that was one thing that I was concerned about because I mean, you had win. You're doing really good, and then you had that fight. You're headlining. You're not on home turf. He was on home turf. We were yelling as loud as we could. You know, go up Royal Marines. Let's go, Sonny, right? And he said, well, I couldn't hear any of that. I could just hear everyone else going, right? And there's that psychological side to it. And that was a concern. It was like where's your head going to be at after this fight? And I know everyone was reaching out to you after this.
Yeah, it's really nice that people do that. But personally, I used to get beaten up like that when I was younger, and I'd wake up in an alleyway or in a hospital bed. There's no paycheck. There's no pat on the back. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's just... I know a lot of people, if they get punched in the face on the street in an altercation or robbed or something, like their whole world collapses. I should have sympathy for that, but sure. I'm like, well, you get punched in the face, what the fuck?
Right.
Deal with it, do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's life.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I've had that. You know what I mean? Real pain isn't getting punched. Real pain is when you lose a family member or you go through something deeper inside your own mind, do you know what I mean? Real pain isn't that for me, but...
Well, that's good. And I guess a big part of that is just your mental framework ahead of time going into it.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be a tough one too, because you have to calculate what losing looks like without setting a pre-expectation of losing. You have to calculate what getting hit looks like without the pre-expectation that you're just going to get hit all the time. Because you watch people fighting and sparring and it's like, okay, like you throw a punch like this and I'm going to block like this. Well, that's not real training, right? You're training for a fake scenario. How much realism can you bring into it? And I get the idea behind never inputting any negative info into your brain, but then how do you prepare once that happens? So like there's got to be a delicate balance between how much you actually store inside the hard drive there.
Yeah, I obviously never planned to lose. When I first got into bare knuckle, in one of my first interviews for the other promotion, the British promotion I was with, the guy was talking to me and I remember saying, just as long as it's an exciting fight for the fans, I don't really care. And he was like, but you're trying to win, right? And I was like, well, yeah, of course. But yeah, I don't know. I see it as entertainment. At the end of the day, like, obviously I'm trying to win. I had very hard opponents. My first opponent with the BKFC, they changed him 2 weeks before. It was supposed to be another guy. And then they changed him to this guy, Jeremiah Riggs, who fought in the UFC, who's had over 50 professional fights, who's also a middleweight naturally. And I obviously just accepted the fight as my big break in the UFC. And I got stopped in that fight quite early on. But that was a step up. A lot of people out there, they wouldn't even take that fight. They only want to fight when they know they can win. You know what I mean? But you're never going to get past. You always got to push yourself. And then my second fight was Drew, who's Golden Gloves champion in Canada. He's a good boxer. He's gone on to win 4 by knockout. So I don't take that too badly. Obviously, it was a hard loss. And also, the annoying thing was that I got injured. I landed a punch with my thumb. They call it skier's thumb.
Okay.
And it was ligament damage. So usually if you break a bone, you can kind of deal with it. But ligament stuff is way more complicated. So that took a long time to get the feeling back. But also, I'm not a rich man. I had to go to work at a new job
Yeah.
and just hide that I couldn't fucking use my hand.
Do you have use of it back?
Yeah, I
You
do,
your
but
grip?
occasionally I'll catch it at a funny angle and then it'll go back quite a few steps. But I use like I do a lot of hand strengthening, knuckle strengthening, but I have like it's an elastic strands off of this ball that you just stretch out like that.
Right.
And different angles. I had to go and see a specialist eventually to get it fixed. And she told me it's called skier's thumb, where
Okay.
they usually flying past and they catch it on the pole or a tree or something.
Interesting. So I had that on this hand, and I was inner tubing at Seymour, and years and years ago, and I brought I think it was my little brother out with me, and he's yelling because his toque had fallen off, and he's like, "Can you grab the toque?" And then sleet and snow was coming down. I just opened my eye, and I can see the toque, and I ran out as I'm sliding down, and I grab it, and I, of course, jammed the thumb up and tore it back, and I didn't see anyone about it, and I just let it kind of heal the way it's supposed to heal. Until finally, I got my grip strength back, but one time a doctor looked at it and said, "Well, here, put your hands out." And he puts pressure on one thumb. He's like, "Press up." He's like, "Now do it on this thumb." And I had like no strength because I never trained going back out the other way. But
yeah, that's exactly what they did for me when they did the initial assessment of the specialist. And then you realize how weak it is and where you need to strengthen. Yeah.
And it hurt every time I just like tap into something. Like my old vehicle, you'd have to pull or push the lights on and off. And I just kind of tap it in there and it was just painful. Same thing?
Yeah, exactly the same thing. And I was just starting a job driving boats, so I had to use the throttle with that hand.
Right.
Yeah, so it wasn't too...
Well, you've got a new book out now.
Yeah. Man Protect, Fulfill Your Primal Duty.
Man Protect. How'd you come up with that name?
Well, it's kind of it is our main role as men, isn't it? And we kind of gone away from that with society, but it's bringing it back to these primal instincts using modern tools. And it actually comes from the psychedelic experiences that I had.
Interesting.
Showed me that I am a protector back in the old, which our minds haven't changed very much. I would be a tribal protector. I'd be a warrior,
Right.
That's why I'm wired the way I am. That's why I've gone into these lines of work. And you don't have to have the background that I've had. Like, everyone is wired that way.
Right.
And part of the book is that you don't have to be this dagger between your teeth, hard as nails, operator, fighter. It's all about detection and all the other options. Fighting is the last resort. So that's basically what the book is showing. Like giving you all these techniques that real protectors, professional protectors use in their profession, and let people know that engage is right at the end of that. And obviously engage is important, and there's a big part of the book about that. But we're trying not to get to that point in every situation, really, especially if we're protecting our family, which is the primary role as a man.
I really like the book. And so I was overly optimistic when I texted you a couple days ago. My wife dropped me off at the hunting shack. I put a fire on. I'm resting up my knee, which I'm not really able to bend still yet. And I sat down and I'm reading through it. I give you a text. I'm like, I'm going to have the whole book done. I mean, this is such an easy read. It's so fun. It's so engaging. Like, you got all these personal stories in there, and how you teach in the book. You start introducing a concept. It's gentle. It's very cool how the concepts are introduced. They're fleshed out. You call back onto it. Then they're reinforced. I don't know if you're just pulling from British military method of instruction training here, but it really appealed to me, the way that you lay out the information. So anyways, I give you a text. I'm going to be done this book in no time. This is such a great read. And then, of course, life gets in the way. And then a few days later here now, and I still can't bend a leg, but sorry, Sonny, I had to speed read a few of the sections in here.
That's fine.
But the information in here is, it's very good. So I grew up in an environment where situational awareness was always drilled into us. And we're from a policing background, my family, and a lot of the things that you're looking at in your book have a modern adaptation on some of these older ideas that were put out, and they're they're really relevant and they're really applicable, that anybody can pick up the book, go through it, and apply in their everyday life. What was it that drove you to want to put this book out?
It's basically the accumulation of everything I've learned in my life to this point. And I've been lucky enough to do many different disciplines. Basically, everything that I thought was cool when I grew up, I've tried to pursue at some point. And now I've at the final one, which is professional fighting. That's always a dream of mine as a kid. So I'm kind of ticking that off right now, which is an element of the book as well. But you got like the corporate espionage, you grow up watching Jason Bourne and James Bond and all this surveillance world stuff. I was mega keen and interested in all that, and then ended up doing it as a job, not for the government, in the private sector. And obviously the military stuff, war fighting, and then close protection, bodyguarding, all of these different disciplines have their own skill sets and trade that you can master. I actually say I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I've worked with people in the intelligence side in MI5 that all they've done for their whole life is surveillance, and they are masters of it. And I've learnt from them, and then I've moved on to somewhere else, and then I've picked up this and I've moved somewhere else, and I've brought together all of these different elements into the book. So it is basically a guide for men in self-defense in all areas. There's nothing that I left out there. Actually, the criticism of the book that I had is that I could have written 2 or 3 books. I didn't want to. I'm not a marketing guy. I'm not a businessman guy. I want this to be my legacy. Like, if you want to learn how to protect your family, then read this book, and it covers all these different subjects, gives you so many different options other than fighting. And then if it comes to fighting, it tells you what really works.
So what is the full saying? Jack of all trades, master of none. But the full saying is?
I don't actually know.
Still better off than just a master of one.
Oh, it is, yeah.
So it's everyone says the first part, but they don't talk about the last part. And it really is a good thing to be a jack of all. Like if you're just a master of just one thing and one thing only, man, you're at a disadvantage to the person who's a jack of all, right?
Yeah. That's very true.
So you talk about the primal role of a protector, and you talk about it through history and kind of what it looks like and how modern life's dulled the instincts of men, which they've relied on those instincts for thousands of years. What shifted in our culture that made this book necessary?
I think it's been a push in recent years against masculinity is evident. We know, we've all seen it, don't we? And that's why we see the rise of Andrew Tate. He has some good messages and some messages I don't really agree with. But the reason people are turning to him is because he's standing up for men and what is natural to be a man. It's our primal instincts. Jordan Peterson's another advocate because we're kind of getting squashed over the years. It's like our instincts that we want to protect, provide, we're kind of getting told that we're not really needed to do that, or it's kind of overstepping the boundary in our relationships when, every man knows if someone's coming through your front door at night, you're stepping up and you're expected to step up. Do you know what I mean? So
how does somebody step back into that role without being paranoid or having all this false bravado like some of these, the Andrew Tates of the world?
Well, there's a lot of different techniques. They're all in the book.
Buy the book.
Yeah. But it's a very vast subject because there's different character types. I got into a lot of trouble when I was younger. I think a lot of it, now that I'm a bit older, is because I am quite softly spoken. I don't have that alpha male presence about me. I don't really speak up, stand at the front, try and lead. So kind of people see my kindness and see it as weakness, or my calm. Like I've been stepped over a lot of times and disrespected, and then all of a sudden they realize, oh shit, he isn't a walkover. Do you know what I mean? But different people are more accustomed to do different things, different personality types. Like some people have the gift of the gab. They can talk their way out of situations, and you should really lean on your strengths. In the book and in life, we have different strengths, but we can learn about the other trades, the other different techniques, but also from like pick out what you're good at and then master those. And these are your go-to moves, especially when it comes to fighting. Like that's something else I talk about, just having your go-to moves. You don't need 30 different techniques. You probably ever maybe get into an altercation once, hopefully not. But if you do, you just need one thing that works to get yourself out of that situation. A straight jab, straight right hand.
Yeah.
That was my go-to move. Used it many, many times. It got me out of a lot of shit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, mine growing up was always just to choke the person unconscious.
There you go.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a big guy,
Yeah.
and as long as you can get within my reach, and I can use what I have, my reach and my strength to my advantage, I don't want to be slugging it out back and forth. They always woke up again afterwards, but it allows you the opportunity to leave. And if they're lying on the ground, waking up unconscious, or sometimes they crap themselves, and it's you held on a little bit too long. And but you touch on a few things in there in the book that spoke to me, because I never had the gift of the gab. I've got a podcast now, right? But I still don't feel like I have the gift of the gab, and it's not my first thing that I tend to rely on. I will process things really quickly. I tend to be able to see things faster. Maybe it's the ADHD thing, and I can use that to my advantage. But I'm also 6'6", 240 now. I was 250, 240 pounds. And growing up, I was always a target. Everyone looked at, everyone says, you probably never get in fights. I'm like, I wish. Why is it these like little guys come in and all they want to do, they get their friends behind them because now they've got some courage, maybe some liquid courage. And they look for the one soft-spoken person who's not out there trying to antagonize or do anything. I know, I'll take him down, right?
Yeah,
and it's
it.
Yeah, and I would be like, it'd be like flies to crap.
Shit magnet
over and over and over again. So I had to learn how to spot it ahead of time, how to swallow my ego, and maybe it's time to leave because things are going to get out of hand. And if things were going to get out of hand, how to act very fast and very violently, because I've been in it with multiple people and it doesn't fare so well. But if you can get your hands on one of them and you can make a big enough spectacle out of that, the other ones will peek, but they tend not to step in.
Yeah, that's very true. I have experience of that in my life as well.
Sure, I know you do.
I've had to fight multiple people at times. I had a reputation when I was younger, so people would come to my town and we'd either have arranged fights or you'd be in your normal places on the night out, and then a new lads would come in and like be barging people and starting things. And if I ever want to send a message, I would have a go-to move to do that, and that would be the old Glasgow kiss.
Yes.
You know that?
Yeah.
Headbutt, which is kind of a real savage and shocking thing to do, but that is the purpose of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going up against a few people, then you need to really shock them. You need to make them know that you're an absolute lunatic, because not everyone has that fighting mentality. There'll be people on the sidelines that will be looking in, and they will be deterred if you go absolutely animalistic.
Yeah.
There is a time and a place for that. If you need to fight your way out of somewhere, then there is a time and a place for that. I don't do that anymore.
Well, what I really like about the book is how it helps fill in the blanks for somebody like myself growing up who didn't have the gift of the gab, and you can show people how to rely on other things like enhanced situational awareness, like maybe a little bit of establishing a baseline, seeing if you should be there, how to swallow your ego, all of these like little things that maybe some people know intuitively. I think a lot of people, especially men when they're younger, right? They're young, they're dumb, lots of testosterone going, and sometimes that overrides the gut instinct, which you also talk about, which is a very powerful thing.
Yeah, intuition and instinct, I think, are closely tied. And especially for women, actually, their intuition should really be listened to, and men, but women need it more than men because they don't typically have that fighting capability to back it up, and a lot of predators target women. So with intuition, I talk about the science behind it and how I believe it's instinct, that our subconscious mind is picking up on visual signs, behaviors that our conscious mind is probably not recognizing, but there's something there that's getting triggered, and it could come at you in many different ways. And just to listen to it, especially if your wife would say, I don't really have a good feeling about that guy, that business partner maybe that you just met, or that guy at the door, just listen to it. It's something to be thoughtful of, because these are things we kind of neglect these days, but there is actually science behind it, which I go through in the book. It's been studied and it's seen to be a real thing.
Have you ever read Gavin de Becker's book, The Gift of Fear?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So
yeah. It's a great book.
It's a great book. I mean, it's a really good marketing tool for Gavin de Becker too. Like, I had a hard time getting through all of the Gavin de Becker Institute and the Gavin de Becker, right? And on and on and on it went. But the fundamental underwriting thing was how you listen to that women's intuition, that gut feeling, and helps kind of flesh it out. You've taken what his thick book is, you've pulled out all the advertisement, you've put your own experiences behind it, and I think you've pulled really a lot of the core ideas behind there, which is will save people if they're interested in this sort of thing from weeding through the muck and just pulling out those key insights quickly.
Yeah, that was the point of the book, really. He's written this whole, 200 pages on basically intuition, where that is a little part of it, but it's not the whole picture. So I'm collating all these different things, and I actually give a little nod to him in my book, because it is good to go and do that research on the intuition side.
Well, what do you think the biggest misunderstanding civilians have about modern threats?
A lot of people just think that it's never going to happen, that violence would never happen. It's normalcy bias. Oh, that's never happened around here, so it's never going to happen. And we see this with terrorist attacks in particular, which is actually the reason why I started Six Sight and writing this book. I actually look back, it's like 7 years ago that I started writing the book, when I first put pen to paper. It was when I was just left living in London, and anyone that lives in London knows of the terror threat and the different types of attacks and what you should watch out for and stuff to some degree. Obviously, I was on the other side of it in defender role in the military, and I went to briefings, so I knew a little bit more. So, but when recently I put up a picture on my Instagram about the barriers on Oxford Street, these big yellow metal barriers and these big concrete bollards. I had multiple people messaging me saying, I'm confused, what? I don't understand that's going to stop a terrorist, because they're thinking of active shooters.
Sure.
These were Americans mainly,
Yeah.
because they don't really understand the vehicle ramming threat, which is the biggest threat. It's the most common. We've already had one this year in a Christmas market in Paris, I think it was. It was somewhere in France. And the reason it is the biggest threat is because it's so easy. Everyone's got a vehicle. Anyone can rent a car. And right up until the point where you're mounting a curb and then you are a deadly weapon at that point, how can you detect that? Well, the only counter as an individual is having good situational awareness and having a plan of what to do and having some knowledge about the environment you're in, which is, again, situational awareness. So if you're at a Christmas parade or Christmas market, if you're the man of the family, then it is your job to protect everyone else. No one else is going to be thinking about it. It's just, this book is giving you the tools to oh, look, there's a concrete bollard over there. If something happens, if I hear the screeching, which I'm listening out for anything above the baseline, if I hear a roaring of an engine, something abnormal in that environment, then I'm going to grab my kids. I'm going to behind that bollard or into this alleyway. My exit is that way. When I walk into the parade ground or the area, are there concrete barriers that are going to stop a vehicle ramming attack so they can't even get down here? Or is it just some traffic cones which aren't going to stop a thing? Do you know what I mean? All these concepts I explain because I've had to think about them being from London and living in that environment. It's kind of quite common.
Well, we had one here recently in Vancouver, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a Filipino street festival. Quite a few died. I can't remember, but it was a very high number of deaths and some children as well. So that's just the reality of the threats today. Indiscriminate plowing through a family event. It's horrendous.
Well, you talk about situational awareness, both from, and what I really liked was leaning on your executive protection and surveillance side and sharing some of the skills that you would use when following somebody. And not because everyone's going to go out and start following people, but if you have an understanding of some of the principles and tactics that are used, it gives you a better understanding of, are other people following me? Why do you think predators are so good at spotting who they can attack?
That's predators in the animal world and the human world. They're exactly the same. They use following what I call the predator attack cycle. So they're even in the recon phase. They're out there on the hunt for victims. Maybe that would be a pickpocket. Maybe that would be a mugger or a rapist. So they're looking for a certain victim type. It's all a risk versus reward kind of thing. If you can outweigh them with risks, looking like you can handle yourself, being aware of your surroundings, as well as not being in the wrong places at the wrong times and all that. But at a glance, if they look at you and they think, oh, maybe that guy, he's got a bit of muscle on him. Maybe he looks like he's ex-military, which is another thing I talk about. Like the grey man tactic, you can try and blend into environments if you're in a foreign country to not look like an outsider, not look like a tourist. But you can flip that over and try and look like a formidable deterrent. You can look like someone that they don't want to mess with, wearing like the black watch, the SBS t-shirt.
Gotta do it. Hey, Staz was on the podcast.
I saw that.
Sent some over, and so I figured, well, I got to represent.
Yeah, no, it's such high quality gear, isn't it? I just wish I could afford more of it.
I know.
But that's the thing. It's such high quality. You pay for the quality. That's it. But yeah, I lost my trail of thought then.
But yeah, how you can not only look out for other people, how you can be the gray man, but how you can also use that information to project an image that you're a hard target.
Yeah, and these are all deterrent techniques that you can use and pass down to your children.
The one that I thought was kind of interesting, and so you talked about it, and this is going back a bit. You've got a YouTube channel. Anyone who's listening, definitely check out the YouTube channel. There's short snippets. Sonny puts himself into some pretty interesting situations. So you can follow along and kind of see what it looks like, going down through the downtown east side or going through crime neighborhoods in California or around the world, and sort of what a person in his role would be looking out for. Mic'd up and hidden camera and all the rest. They're fun to watch. But, I remember an older TikTok before TikTok thought that this sort of information was too dangerous for the average viewer to have. And I think your account ended up getting pulled. But,
it is, yeah.
Carrying yourself in such a way, there's that fine line. So if you're going to be the gray man and you're kind of blending in, but you don't want to look like the victim. So you're going to have you can carry yourself, hold yourself, but you also don't want to be the guy who's hard eyeing everybody who's coming down the street. Like, oh, you mess with me, I'm going to be tough. Because now you flip that script. Now maybe somebody who wasn't necessarily interested in approaching you, maybe their ego starts kicking in and maybe, oh, who's this person think they are? They're on my turf. They think they're tough. And you're inviting that to you. And you would talk a little bit about, I remember in the old TikToks, about how you make eye contact, how long you make eye contact for, how you glance away, not down, look over, just little tricks that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, there's been studies on it. They took a videotape of just an intersection in New York of people walking past, and then they took that to convicted criminals, predators, muggers, rapists, robbers, violent criminals that would do that stuff with violence. And they showed them the videotape and asked which ones they would want to target, who would be their victim types. And they studied the ones they picked, and there was patterns, and it weren't always women. It was actually gender wasn't even really considered. It was how that person carried themselves. And actually where they were looking was a big thing, like looking down at the floor. One of the most prolific serial killers, I think it was Ted Bundy, said on an interview that he would choose his victims by the way that her head tilted as she walked. Like as she was looking at the ground, she wasn't aware. It's a submissive trait as well.
Sure.
So I do go into the eye contact thing. It's quite a delicate subject. If someone is targeting you, say I used to live in Brixton, London. It's quite a rough area. if you're coming up to a group of lads and they're like chatting and then they stop talking and one of them's like looking at you, if you get your head down and you're like, oh fuck, I don't want to go through this situation, shit, they can sense that nervousness. They know, right, this guy can be preyed on. It's that instinctual thing. If you are calm, you're fine in that environment, you're used to it, you're an insider, you just walk relaxed with your shoulders back, head up, you glance, eye contact, keep looking ahead. Even in those situations, I would actually say hello in a local greeting because that kind of throws them off. And if you're throwing them off with their thought process, then they're thinking, oh, maybe this guy isn't such a victim. And even if they are going to attack you, if they are going to hurt you right then, you're getting that read off them earlier because they're further away. If you say hello and a smile, a smile is very good tactics. We use that in close protection because people are like, it throws them off for a second. And then after that second, you're gone anyway with your client. And they're like, oh, and then you're gone. You're not waiting around. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And in this situation, you're just walking past. So a nice greeting, a friendly greeting can throw them off. But if they are they're going to attack you, then they're not going to react in a right way. They're going to not react to that greeting, or they're going to move forward, and then you've got the read on them before they're within your personal space, and then you can use a different tactic.
So you outline the phases that predators use, and in your book you talk about recon, targeting, stalk, strike. Can you kind of touch on those, walk the listeners through a little bit about what those stages look like?
Yeah, so the recon phase is when they're out there looking for targets, say like a pickpocket is walking around busy areas, markets, and they're like scanning basically. And that could be someone standing up on the side on a back wall, practicing situational awareness themselves, because they are either looking for victims, but they're also looking for the police. They don't want to be caught. These are people that are trying to get valuables from you, robbery situations. And then say you're walking past a group of pickpockets in a market, they will spot something that they like, so they start targeting you. Maybe you've got valuables on display. Maybe you've got your headphones in, or you're distracted looking at paintings in a window. Then they're targeting you. Can they get what they want from you? Do you look like you could be a danger to them? Does the risk outweigh the reward? And then they go into the stalk, so they got to move closer, and they could be gaining information at that time. They will be, or they could be, if it's a violent attack, then the stalk will be very apparent because they'll be moving with the purpose of violence as the intention, and their body language will show that if you are aware enough to see it. And then the strike phase is the attack itself. And if you're detecting it at that point, then you've failed. Like, this is where close protection, we aim not to be. You're on the back foot. You don't really know what's going on. But the point of the predator attack phases is to show that you have all these options and time to see, to spot a predator if you're looking in the right direction. So I'm aiming to give you the tools to spot them before they target you.
Now, you do something in your YouTube videos. You talk about these things in your book, and you're doing what. So as a kid, my dad would take me downtown. We'd play a game of hawks and pigeons. I think we talked about that one before, but the goal was, as a kid, you had to spot who the hawks were and who the pigeons were, who the targets were, who the victims would most likely be, and who are the predators. And that's something like going through the book, people can look at this and they can apply this as they're taking the bus. They can apply it as they're going on a sky train, walking downtown, wherever. Who's the other people who are doing the similar thing to me? And those other hawks who are situationally aware, they tend to be able to spot you pretty quick too, doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, you do. And you'll find yourself spotting criminals, especially pickpockets and dodgy people you want to stay away from. And you'll find yourself spotting ex-military blokes, police officers, even undercover police officers, because they can't turn it off.
Nope.
And yeah, other protectors, yeah, it's easy to spot. And once you start practicing these skills, these daily habits, then yeah, it's good. It's a fun game to play, especially if you're on vacation, you want to spot the pickpockets. But also it's a deterrent that's always a force field around you, because it just shows that you are not an easy victim. No one can get the drop on you.
You put something in the book that I hadn't, I probably should have, but I hadn't seen before. But you write about the rule of stupids.
Yeah.
How much danger do you think people create in their own lives without actually knowing it? And did you want to talk about the rule of stupids?
Yeah, it's don't do stupid things in stupid places with stupid people at stupid times.
That's right.
And I wouldn't be
Sound
writing
advice.
this book if I hadn't have thrown all those rules out at the same time. Because, you can live. I say that's right at the beginning because we're not going to live like that. And the purpose is this book is so you can reach further than you would before, go traveling and take your family to random places and have a security blanket and a plan. But the bottom line is that we have to live our lives,
Right.
We can't all just stay at home and never be at risk of anything. If you really want to be 100% safe, then that's what you have to do.
Yeah, and that's not a life.
No,
You have to accept that there's going to be some risk, but there are a lot of ways we can mitigate that risk.
yeah, and the biggest stupid there is alcohol, but it's also the most fun.
Well, that goes to my next question. I was going to say, what's one stupid mistake people make every day that you think's easy to fix?
Is when you're walking along, don't stare at the front floor. Just clear the route ahead is a tactic that I talk about. Just look up ahead of you. You'll just see things happening before you're right in front of them, and it's right on your doorstep. This is something I developed when I lived in Brixton and stuff, because there's groups of youths on the street, and they are scary. Like, they are gang members, and they're defending their turf, they're selling drugs, and you just have to move around them. But you very early on know that you got to spot them. If you spot them way ahead of you, then you can evade them easily. You just cross over and walk on the other side of the street, and that is a primary defense tool, is prevention and complete avoidance.
So, situational awareness, that's a big part of it, is at the core of your ESAS system, your enhanced situational awareness. How did you develop your method, and why does it work when most situational training doesn't?
I developed it again from all the different disciplines that I've done, and it is a lot of it comes from close protection, because your job is to look after someone else and their family. You are their eyes and ears, and there's also elements of it that you can't be 100% aware 100% of the time. That's not the job. No one's expected to do that. So it's predicting environments and knowing when you need to turn it up and switch on times, I call it, where you can use different techniques when you're in a bigger risk area. But then there's also daily habits, which are kind of close protection basics, like sitting tactically in a restaurant if you're with your family. So you can see the entranceway, you're facing the door, your back is to the wall. You've already registered where the exit is, and you know how you would get there. Even if you're sitting in a booth, make sure you're on the end. So if anything was to kick off, and I'm not talking about like an active shooter every time, it could be two people were in a disagreement and fighting each other, and they're fucking going to fall onto where your baby's sitting, and you have to you need to be able to step away from that table and just block them in that situation. But also there could be a vehicle running into the front of the shop. That happens every day in cities all around the world. So you're sitting in a tactical position, standing in tactical positions. So you're getting one step ahead of anything that could happen. And it's good even if you're not a family man, you're just working in a cafe. If you're on your laptop, the tactical position thing's so important, because you can be doing other things, you can live your life. But if you're in that position, then you're automatically got a head start on everyone else in that environment. If something kicks off, then you're just going to see it in your peripheral vision immediately. Whereas a lot of people sit with their back to the action all the time.
Yeah.
It's a simple thing, really, but a lot of people may not think of it.
It's funny because I know a lot of it's the old gunfighter thing, right? The old gunfighter tactic. You always know where the exit is. Sit your back, watch where you can see people coming and going. And I was always raised that way as well. We were out having Greek food the other day. You arrived early. I'm like, of course, he's sitting there with his back. I spend the entire time looking in the reflection of the window out back to see what's happening behind me. Of course,
I had your back, mate.
Oh, I know you did. Of course, I see the owner Franco coming up behind me. I'm like, okay, here it comes. But
there was a thin line between paranoia and being that switched on protector. And that's where these daily habits are good, because you don't have to be like on high alert looking around all the time, but you're already set up for success. And visualization comes into it as well. Like, if one time you visualize at a parade, how am I going to move my 2 children out of the danger zone, off of the X? Just think about it. Play with them on the bed in your front room, pick them up, throw them around a bit. Just think, I can carry them one underarm like this. That's how I'll move them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So mental role playing ahead of time. What if? And then you don't have to worry about thinking about that if it does happen.
Yeah,
you've already
exactly.
got that one downloaded.
It's an actions on, as I say.
How does someone know when the environment just doesn't feel right and they should trust their instinct?
Absence of the normal, presence of the abnormal. It's reading environment is the chapter in the book, but it's knowing what's going on and what doesn't fit in the environment. And that encompasses a very big subject. In the surveillance world, when we'd go and do an operation in a foreign land, or anywhere it's really a foreign land, you're never doing it on your hometown, in your doorstep. So you'd go and you'd absorb the environment, you'd establish the baseline, you'd sit outside in a cafe or in a park, and you just watch people. Watch, what are they wearing, what behaviors do they have that's normal to the native people there, what types of vehicles. You can read all these things and get a feel for what is the norm in the environment, and then you adapt yourself to conform to that. If things do stand out as abnormal, the norm is actually unaware. So the first indicator is someone that's aware of their surroundings. Check them out, because they're either a good guy or a bad guy, you know. But then there's different behavioral traits as well that are clear indicators of someone, especially for violent acts, but also pickpockets and things. A lot of places in the world, like I talk about a story when I was in Italy. I had done my research before I went there, and I found that it's Romani gypsies were a large ethnicity of street robbers and pickpockets.
Yep.
And they actually set up on me. And the first read I got on him, there was a guy standing up against the shopping centre, and he was like looking around, and he was of that ethnicity. So that was the first indicators. And then watching his behaviour more, then I learned that he was signalling for someone else to come up behind me, and then I ended up turning around and making him jump.
Yeah.
I was quite proud of that.
It's funny, another past podcast guest, and he does security work, ex-British Army, and he... I was like, oh, what kind of security work you doing, right? And he's working at the airports. He says, well, the racist kind. But it's not racism. People talk about profiling. There's a difference between profiling and racism. And I think people have got it in their heads lately, in past years, that, well, we can't profile, that's racist. And he said it tongue-in-cheek, because what they do is profile, right? People from certain genders at certain age groups and certain ethnicities from certain areas have shown that there's going to be a higher likelihood of trouble than others. Why wouldn't you use that information when you're downloading your baseline and where you're taking a look at your profiling of where a threat could come from? Well, there's a 80-year-old woman from Italy, and are we going to treat her the same as we would from somebody who comes from the profiled background?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's just another small element of the whole big picture, but it's how you get a quick read on someone. You know, we're not so... for violence, we're not going to be as concerned with women as we are men, because statistically they're not going to be as violent. Yeah, there's anomalies out there, but when we're looking for threats, especially in the close protection world, we're not going to be giving them as much attention, especially when you're moving through a dynamic environment where there's lots of people moving around. The first things you're looking for is someone who's aware, and if they're of that gender, male, age, fighting age male is a term that's coined for a reason, you know, and the behavioral traits, and also the dress. You can go into subcultures that criminals use in certain areas. Obviously, we have famous ones, like we know what House Angels wear, the biker jackets and that. We know what the Bloods and Crips wear, the color schemes. And we can all have an idea of like a Latino gangster as well. So in the UK, there is very niche subcultures between the gangs that you can pick out. And yeah, there is some overlap with general other young people who live in the area who aren't gangsters. But when we're considering the safety of our family and whether we should continue down the street towards a group of men that look dodgy, like, it doesn't matter what you think in your own head. You make your own decisions. You're not a police officer, most probably. So you decide this is just a part of the decision-making process.
It seems to me when you wrote this book, you had a very conscious mind towards giving the information without sugarcoating it. I mean, there's lots of humor inside the book. There's lots of little things that you can pick out. I'm like Peacock, you got to let me fly, like little things you can kind of, but in all of the stories, but that you made a conscious effort just to give the information without it being varnished under a layer of political correctness. Am I correct in that?
Yeah. And I actually went back and forth with that. I started the book with a general audience in mind. I wasn't going to go down this male protector route. The tactics were still the same, but it was kind of different. And then I changed it. It's like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to just do what I think like this crowd that might get angry is going to be angry about. I don't actually care what they think. Do you know what I mean? And they're not my audience. I'm not talking to them. If they want to get angry about it, then go read another book. Do you know what I mean? I've stayed true to what I believe and my own experience.
Yeah. Well, I also think despite it being called Man Protect, and you give the reasons why and how you name it, there's a lot of information here that would be very, very useful to women as well. Men are typically looked at as the protector. When push comes to shove, we revert to our animalistic, very, very human instincts. But I think there's a lot of information in here that women can look at this and say, well, okay, I've seen this, and this is what a predator is looking like, and here's actually what someone who's going to be acting in a protector role might be looking at things. And despite its name, I think it's a valuable resource for men and women.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the tactics are the same. And I do look at it as the marketing is for a man.
Sure.
Obviously, through a man's lens, and to teach those skills on to the women in their life, their daughters mainly. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because they're not, my experience, why I didn't keep it a broad book, marketing. You need to find your audience and sell it to that audience. But I don't think like many women are going to read my content anyway. It's mainly a male audience. You can see that in all your Instagram stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But there is something in the pipeline way down the line that after this one that I'd like to do a collab with a female, which I have some people in mind to do a woman protect.
Yeah, nice.
And yeah,
I think I know who you're talking about too.
Yeah, I haven't reached out to her yet, but I will in the future.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like the way men speak to each other is different, you know? And I didn't want to put it for everyone. Be friendly for everyone, because I want to speak to geezers like me and you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I write to women, I'll have that female voice as like a main author as well. Like the tactics, and also they have a different experience when they walk down the street. Like, have you ever worried about being raped walking down the street?
Thankfully, no.
No, nor have I. It's never even considered in my realm of possibility.
Right.
You know what I mean? But for women, that is a daily worry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's different types of predators that predate on them. So they have a different experience. And there's been this whole big political thing recently about complete equality, which, look, we're different. You know, there's differences. So yeah, this is for the male audience, and I'd like to do the female, but I'd like also not to be the man in that role saying you need to do this, because I don't walk that life. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that person, so I will co-author with someone else to get that perspective.
Smart. I think that's smart. Now, you don't glorify violence. Obviously, you violence is a part of your life. You do that professionally as a bare knuckle boxer, and there's certain reasons why you do it, what you get out of it. But you make it very, very clear in the book that avoiding, not even being in the situation to begin with, all the different ways that you can get out of it are far better than just looking at, oh, here's your special move you can do, or here's your special tactic. But when fighting is unavoidable, what do people need to understand about the reality of it?
Hard, fast, aggressive. That is the mantra that a Royal Marine Commando Corporal used to drill into us. If it's already on, then it's already on. I learned that very early on in my life. If someone's telling you that they are going to hurt you and they are coming towards you, there's no more talking there. And yeah, you could turn and run. There's a lot of situations where you can't turn and run. There's a switch that needs to be flipped, and that is the animalistic side that needs to come out. And to get those skills, you can't read a book. And I say this at the first paragraph, basically, of the fighting back section. But I do outline what you can go and learn and the most effective fighting arts to learn to get to a capable, because like I said earlier, you only need your go-to moves. You only need to learn something that works for you to get you out of a situation, and then pull up your socks and get moving. Because that's also something about violence that I talk about, which most other people won't talk about. This is real from my experience. There's nothing good that happens from if you have to defend yourself from sticking around in that environment. No. You need to get out of there and you need to go home. Because I've had times when I've had a scrap with people and I've gone to the next bar and they've come into the bar and I'm on my own at that point. Yeah. So yeah, that's not a good situation. That's when you got to use the crazy headbutts technique.
And then reassess what did I do wrong? Okay, now I'm going to leave. Now I'm going to get out. What do you think the biggest misconception people have about knives and guns in real violence?
This is another thing of why I've gone down this road of teaching, because of the YouTube videos you see of knife attacks online. It's ridiculous. Like, the knife is coming at you at a certain angle and you're like using karate chop shit like Steven Seagal. Like, come on, you can't tell me you didn't watch Steven Seagal when you were younger. I did, and I believed it for a while. Oh yeah, till I was stabbed up in London.
This didn't work.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions, and it comes back to the detection and situational awareness. Like when I was in that knife fight, it wasn't really a knife fight because I didn't have a knife. It was just one person getting stabbed.
Yeah, what would you call that then? Just a stabbing.
Yeah, basically. I didn't know that the blade was being used until someone in the queue next to me screamed that he had a knife, and I was underneath him and he was like coming down on me, and luckily the doorman grabbed him and pulled him off. Otherwise, I didn't know how to fight jiu-jitsu at that time. I was just literally holding on for dear life, basically. Most people don't know that they're carrying a knife. So it's monitoring the hands in the lead up and all these behavioral traits that could save your life in those times. And with the firearms as well, I do talk about active shooters and terrorism, because this is something that most people probably haven't thought about what they're going to do. So if there's an active shooter in a shopping mall and you're like the run, hide, fight model, I like that. Say run and hide are exhausted and you know they're on the other side of that door and they're coming. Then if you don't have any fighting experience, what are you going to do? Well, this is, I'm teaching what to do. And it's all about getting hands on the weapon as early as possible. I've watched many videos where people try to tackle, they run, they got full aggression, but then they're thrown off, and then that little bit of distance is all the shooter needs to get rounds on target. So it's kind of controlling the weapon arm. I don't go into jiu-jitsu moves. I guide you to where you can learn those moves, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a great one for controlling one person's arm with your two arms, which in a real situation you have to control their body as well. So you have to be in mount, most likely, preferably. So it's a very intricate thing. I give like the basic rules. And when it comes to like if you're walking through Borough Market in London or downtown Vancouver, in a Christmas market, you turn around a corner and there's a guy with a knife coming towards you, slashing people. What are you going to do? Well, get behind a barrier. First of all, use a chair as a barrier and as a weapon in between you. You know, these sorts of things that could save your life. Even a parked car can save your life. Like that old sketch where you, as a clown, is chased around it.
Yes, yeah.
That's worked for many people, and they've survived knife attacks because of that, you know?
People get tired and they're like, oh, then consequences are, they have enough time to think about, are there police coming? Are there others coming? Maybe I should skedaddle.
Yeah.
Buy yourself time, put some distance.
Exactly. Yeah. And these go-to things are, a lot of people would think of them, but a lot of people are, oh, I haven't thought of that. And there's loads of little tidbits in that book that gives you these little options like, oh, I didn't think of that thing. I didn't think of that. Like a hard lock-in location is a close protection tactic that we use if we can't make it out of an exit. So you would barricade yourself in a room, a disabled washroom, for instance, with your family if there's an active situation going on, and you just wait out in there. Or if you used to barricade a room, you would put the table there and then the other table there, and you'd build a barricade from the wall on the other side all the way to the door. So it cannot be opened. So it's pushed actually against the opposing wall if you can, other than just putting a table at the desk up against the door, which could be kicked and pushed out the way.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, the little things like that clown thing running around the car. I remember one, it was, I think it was Smith & Wesson Academy. I was in Massachusetts doing some training there, and they're telling a story of a guy, and he was shot a couple times, police officer. And he's down on the ground. Bad guy comes up with a gun. And he's going to shoot him in the head. And the police officer puts his hand up in front of the muzzle. So bad guy turns around to get a better shot. And he puts his hand over here. And he keeps, like, the bullet will go right through the hand. But the thought process, like, that was what he had in the moment to be able to try and put something between them. And maybe the person you're dealing with isn't, it saved his life. The enough time had passed, blocking it with his Superman hand here. And, but having
that's also not giving up as well, which is I talk about. It's like you're in the fight to the end. Like what a great tactic that guy used. If all you can do is that and you do it and you survive, then that's real survival.
Well, you know a thing or two about not giving up too, don't you?
Yeah.
And then the knife thing. So I've carried a knife since I think kindergarten, maybe grade 1. I remember when I lost my knife in grade 1 and I go to the office and looking for my knife, and they go to the lost and found. They come back with this big blue plastic thing. And no, mine's a folding knife. It's black and it looks like this. I carry it in my pocket. Like, okay, that's kind of weird. What are you carrying a knife for? Right? Over the years, the idea of carrying a knife in a public place has a different connotation behind it and stigma. Mind you, here in British Columbia, you can carry a knife. You see the telltale clip on people's pockets or in their waistband. But I think some people will carry it. I carry it because it's a tool. I use it all the time. People don't realize how devastating a knife can be. You're at close range. At far range, I'd rather that they have a knife on them. At close range, I think I'd rather they have a gun, honestly, because the knife is so damn versatile and is so devastating. And if people are carrying these things for self-protection, they got to be prepared for the aftermath, which is you're probably going to kill a person if you have to use a knife on somebody. Yeah.
This is a big thing, risk versus reward, that I've flip-flapped on since coming over to Canada. I grew up in the UK, obviously, and the knife culture is like, you can't carry a knife, you'll go to prison. There was a mandatory prison sentence for a time. I actually, when I was 15 years old, I got stopped and searched by the police. I had a knife on me. And I had a knuckle duster that my friend sold me from when he went to Spain. Like when I was that age, like a knuckle duster was cool. And I was like, yeah, I'll buy it off you. Yeah. I would have never used it. I just carried it because I thought it was cool. Anyway, I spent the night in a jail cell because of that. And luckily, because I was only 1 year away from being 16, it wasn't on my record forever. So I just got a reprimand. And from then on, I didn't carry a knife until after when I was in the military, and it's kind of drilled into you. But when I came and did close protection over here, the operators were all carrying a knife, and for good reason. Like if you're in your last stand, then a knife is a good tool to have, especially if they're carrying a knife as well. And then having a knife of your own will give you that distance and hold them off, because it's no longer, like we said before, one man getting stabbed. And now it's a knife fight.
Right.
And I've got into the history of knife fighting, and like a great example is fencing. I know it's an Olympic sport, but any sort of sword fighting and knife fighting, it's all about distance and actual footwork, keeping them away. And if you have your own knife, then they can no longer just come full steam ahead. Now you can hold them at bay. And I do talk about that as a man, and it goes against the grain of British culture. But also I'm talking about family men, middle-aged men. Like, I'm not going to get stop and searched these days anyway. Like, back home, I will break the law and walk around London with a knife if I'm with my family.
Sure.
Like, the risk is way too high. And like, I'm not a terrorist. Do you know what I mean?
I'm with you on that one. I bought a knife specifically because I did my research last time I was in the UK. Okay, this one can open up, but it doesn't lock. Spyderco makes one that's UK compliant and all these other countries. And I don't know what the ins and outs. I got onto Google and researched my knife laws, but I'm sure there'd probably be some areas of grayness in there as well too.
Yeah.
But what can I have when I was in Greece? What can I have in these different places? But I had to switch up what it was I was carrying. But one of the things I think that is highly effective would just be OC, oleoresin capsicum pepper spray. It's you're not going to kill a person with it, and it's pretty easy to deploy if your children, your significant other, and you can buy the stuff on Amazon and have it delivered to your house. You just can't use it on people. If you carry it for people, that's illegal. If you carry it for dogs, perfectly legal.
Yeah, and I do carry it around where I am.
Sure.
Like, I actually was nearly attacked by a dog when I was with my daughter at a campground near Manquam Forest Road there, and we were walking on a trail just a little way from our tent, and someone else had a tent, but they had a dog and it wasn't on a leash. And this is like, no one comes to this campground. It's just a site where you just go. There's no like ranger or whatever, park officer. And the dog came at us and it was like growling, barking, rah, rah, rah. And I like picked up my daughter and had it ready. And then the guy come out, some Mexican guy, who's like, "Oh, no, it's fine." I was like, "No, it's not fucking fine. Get hold of your dog."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got a dog and it's on a lead over there.
Right.
Like, my daughter was scared. She was crying. Like, that's a good application of it. But also, if you are followed at night, I highly recommend it. I actually have the bear spray at my front door. Like, when I'm not there, then spray that through the side of the door and close the door again. Or if someone's breaching the door, then spraying it, covering that whole room, and then going in the back room, barricading yourself. That's a good deterrent. Yeah, I think it's a great one. The thing for the UK is it's like classed as a firearm, though. We don't have, It's pretty fucking...
Yeah, and of course, like, none of this is legal advice. I have talked to lawyers and I have gotten opinions, and everything's going to be situationally dependent and what the intent was and why you had it and whatever it is. But carrying OC for people, illegal. Carrying OC for dogs, legal. Using OC on dogs, I've talked to SPCA and dog handlers, and they say, if you got a really aggressive dog, the spray doesn't work that great. Oh, what does? The ASP baton, the ASP, the expandable baton, knock or whatever you're going to go with. Says that tends to work pretty good. Oh, okay. But on people, OC, bear spray, tends to help take some of the fight out of them.
Definitely. And especially for women. If you're getting followed, someone's approaching you, even producing it saying, "Go back," they're going to, "Oh, fuck." And they're gone. You know what I mean? Who's going to run through bear spray unless they really, really want what they want?
Well, I think the book, and like I say, I got a little ambitious when I said that I'm going to have it done by the today I did a speed read through a number of the chapters. I'm going to go back and read through them because I'm finding I'm getting a lot of value out of it. It helps look at things from a little bit different perspective and some of the experiences that you bring in. Is there anything else on the book that we should be talking about, or should we move on to something else?
Yeah, no, that's about it really. Yeah, it's good. It's just a good guide for any man in the future. And there'll be times in your life when you might go on vacation or traveling. You might move to a new town. You might get a new job where you're in charge of sensitive information or equipment. And then there's parts that you can just revisit, and look at it through that lens. Oh, this is the new threat that I'm encountering. The danger is that I'm holding large amounts of cash, or in the corporate world, sensitive information. Now that I might be a target for armed robbery or espionage, which is one lot of people don't think about.
Sure.
Or if you have children later down the line, then yeah, it's a good guide to revisit.
And how can people get this book?
Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
and
on Amazon.
when's it available? Is it already available
Yeah,
now?
so when this is dropped, it'll be available. Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay. So Amazon Man Protect. Now, your YouTube channel has got some pretty diverse information on there. There's a lot of it that's going to apply to Man Protect, but you also talked about a trip down on a ayahuasca retreat.
Yeah, that was earlier this year.
Yeah.
It was a life-changing experience, I'd say.
I think that's interesting as hell. Are you still involved with Heroic Hearts?
Yep, I'm still an ambassador for them.
Okay.
And they're doing a lot of different projects. They have a Canadian branch now. So they have the American started first, and the British, and then the Canadian, and now there's an Australian branch. So veterans from all of these different countries are going to retreats in Peru, Costa Rica, doing ayahuasca. They also do psilocybin sessions in places as well. Holland is one of the locations. So they're active, very active. I like to promote them when I do my fighting. I always wear them on my shorts, and any media that I do, I promote them. I'm also going to be guiding myself, because I went to a retreat deep in the Amazon jungle of Peru, and I really researched where I was going. There was a book, Fellowship of the River, that I read, and this shaman I've gone to the same guy. They're of the Shipibo tribe, so they've been in this region healing warriors and different types of people for hundreds and hundreds, some say thousands of years. They used to heal the Inca warriors 500 years ago, and it's a real kind of raw bones experience. You can go to Costa Rica and stay in a 5-star hotel and have this experience, and that suits some people, but I wanted to go to the heart of it, where it's been a tradition that's carried on in a tribe setting. So this is their tribal grounds. You go and stay in like a wooden hut on stilts in the middle of the Amazon jungle. And part of it was the experience of doing that and venturing down there on the Amazon River. It was awesome to go down there. Even if I didn't do the ayahuasca, I would have had a great time just unplugging from reality, technology and all that. Just for a week. I was there for just over a week.
So you gave me a book a while back, and I think it was called How to Change Your Mind. Is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Yeah. And then he's like, did you read the book? I'm like, I got to be honest, I just haven't got around to reading this book. He's like, don't worry about it. There's a Netflix show you can watch. It has all the information on it. Just watch a Netflix show, right?
Yeah, that's much easier.
Yeah. And so I watched that one, and I got to tell you, it's interesting. Like, I sat down on the podcast with a JTF2 fellow, and he's like, I don't like drugs. I don't do drugs. But, there's this time we did ayahuasca, and he goes through all these different things. I'm like, well, hold on a second. What are you calling drugs? Right? And there's this stigma around psychedelics and drugs that I was always raised with. Talking to yourself, talking with other people who've gone this route, or watching the Netflix show. Maybe it was called How to Change Your Mind.
It was, yeah.
Okay. Who was the author?
Michael Pollan.
Michael Pollan, that's right.
Yeah.
And it shines a very, very different light on what I think most people were raised to look at these things as.
Yeah, and I actually call them medicines, plant medicines. There's a there's two kind of fields of thought here. There's obviously the medical side, psychologists, psychiatrists. They use MDMA, they use ketamine therapy, they use psilocybin. Now they're using ibogaine, which is the big one in America. So ketamine, MDMA, these are kind of chemicals that are made by man,
Sure.
you know, and then I'm in the other kind of branch. Although there's benefits of these, they're not really in my interest. I think there's a deeper thing going on with these medicines that are grown from the earth. For the mushrooms, for instance, ayahuasca, ibogaine, which is from the iboga plant in Africa. It's used in a tribal setting for many years. I think there's a deeper thing going on there that is ingrained in like consciousness and how the universe works.
Okay.
It's which has a lot of healing benefit. I think it's the missing link of humanity, to be honest. There's a lot of recurring messages when you go and do these psychedelic journeys, and they are good messages for humanity, like being at one with nature, taking from only what you need, not being greedy. Forgiveness is a message that is recurring that I've had, and also other friends have rekindled friendships where after their psychedelic experiences, like I had a falling out with a good friend of mine. I was best man at his wedding. It was over a business thing. And we didn't talk for 4 years. And then I had an experience in one of my psilocybin journeys where I thought about him and the whole relationship and how he's like a brother to me. And then I made contact again, and now we're good friends again. You know, that breaking down of my kind of my mindset of, fuck that, da da da.
Right.
It was because of the psychedelic experience I had.
Forgiveness is an interesting one. You know, the Bible preaches that forgiveness is divine. I don't know if I found a workaround for forgiveness, but I've always had a very difficult time when someone's done something to forgive them for what they did. And like some people, I don't think deserve forgiveness, but maybe, and I was told by
I agree with that. Yeah. Depends what they've done.
And I was told by one person that said, here's my theory. Maybe forgiveness doesn't mean you have to forgive the other person, but it means you forgive yourself for trusting that person or being put in a situation, and so then you can move on. And they said, "No, that's just a workaround." But I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure that's correct. The forgiveness thing, I think, is a very interesting one. Clearly, it's been preached about over the ages. How did I guess two-part question, so I don't forget it all. What would the difference between calling these a drug or a medicine? Would it just be intent and how it's used? And how does the using of that help with forgiveness?
I would say it would be the intent. Yeah. As a medicine, people take psychedelics like for partying and stuff. I'm actually not massively against that because taking mushrooms at a music festival is way safer than taking MDMA, ecstasy, or these other chemicals because there's no real recorded negative effects of it on your body or your mind. It's actually good for your body and mind, and lots of studies to show this. Although using it recreationally isn't like really, but when you're putting it up against, like a lot of my friends back home, they go to Ibiza and they smash cocaine and ecstasy for a binge for a week. And that's just the culture of when you go to Ibiza and dance and party. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your health. But if you were to go to a music festival and do mushrooms as opposed to alcohol or these other hard drugs, I don't see a problem with that. But that would be a problem in terms of the law and things. But I see it as a mental health tool that can, as a medicine that can help heal the root of the pain, to be honest, other than what the other mental health tools we have today are kind of masking the symptoms.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the idea behind it is that you use it and in the future you don't have to. You work through something and then you get better. Or is it something that people have to do over and over and over again? Or like, I know the idea of, let's say, SSRIs, antidepressants. It's a weird cocktail. Everyone's brain's a little different, and doctors are a lot of times just throwing darts at a dartboard and seeing, oh, did I get close? Did that get it?
Yeah.
And I know people who are on antidepressants and how they say it's fantastic, and then a little while later, it's the worst thing ever, and then they have to change it, but they're always on it.
Doesn't seem to be a plan. Like the doctor, oh, things are getting worse, and they just up your dose. And like, where's the end goal here? We just live the rest of our lives on this drug. What we see with ayahuasca, ibogaine, psilocybin, is that people they're facing the root of the problem, particularly with PTSD. And to go on like an ayahuasca journey, some people may have a negative kind of perception of it, but it's not an easy thing to do. Like I went there for a week. I did 4 ceremonies in that week. 2 ceremonies were enlightening. I got a lot from it. I asked a lot of questions and I got the answers that I really wanted to hear, and healing. But then I got one ceremony where it was really kind of a dark ceremony. I was facing some things that happened to me when I was a younger person, and that is really healing. You have to go into that, and that's the scary part, and that's why a lot of people won't really do it. The first thing is they say they have to be in control all the time. That's the one thing. You have to let go. You have to like kind of let it happen. You can't be fighting it. If there's a vision or something coming to you, you have to go with it. And I'm a kind of person that I'm interested. I want to investigate if I do see a dark thing coming, I'm like, okay, what are you? What is this? And then usually you'll be shown through a process. So after that one ceremony that was kind of a dark one where it was kind of, not to say traumatic, but afterwards I felt in a down state. I wouldn't say depressed, but I was not happy for a day. I had a day off the next day, and if I'd left it at that, I would have been like, maybe this isn't for me. I don't know what I'm doing here. It kind of showed me the worst parts of my life decisions that I made.
Okay.
But then at the end, it was shown that you got to forgive yourself. Do you know what I mean? You can't just dwell on this. Like, it was showing my imperfections. And then at the end of it, for the other ceremonies, I was left on a high. But you kind of have to face these things to process it internally. And there's a lot of studies going on. But the thing with me is I don't need to know how it works. I just know that it works.
Okay.
And a lot of other people, it's a human instinct to be like, we need to know everything about it. We need to say this is the process. I don't care. I know it works. So fuck it. Let's go for it. And the downsides, I don't see them.
Well, how do you titrate something that's plant-based like that? Because you don't know if you're getting something that's super potent or not potent, or, I mean, with the man-made stuff, you can titrate because you know exactly what they've put into it. But with this, is it a bit of a crapshoot?
It is. But these people in the tribe that I went to do ayahuasca, that's their trade. They've done it for hundreds of years in a lineage, passed down. So some brews, they cook it on site there every few days. Some brews are stronger than others. It's just known. So, and also when you go through the journey, sometimes you'll have a strong effect off the same amount of liquid, and there's benefits to having a strong effect. There's benefits to having a weaker effect. Like I had some very strong ones. The troublesome one for me was quite a strong dose. They call it a bomber. And they say when you're there, you should try and have a bomber at some point, because that's where you're going to get, like, you know, you've gone too far at that point, and then you're trying to find your working dose where you can work through things. It's ran in quite a medical kind of setting. There's facilitators who are like medical professionals who go through your intentions, and they translate to the shaman who is on this kind of sacred spiritual role. So it's kind of a merging of the two things. Now, I believe that's the way it has to be done. Obviously, pharmaceutical companies and that are going to try and get in on it.
Sure,
but
yeah.
The reason I went to Peru is because there's a respect there with the shamans and the tribal people that have been doing it for thousands of years, that I want to go and get it from them. You know, they've been carrying on these traditions for a long time. They've been healing people And there's something about that. There's something about being in the rainforest and being in nature and the way of life that they have. And that's also something that I found from psilocybin that I did in this country on my own, not with a retreat or anything. Like the First Nations native way of life of taking what you need and being at one with nature. That's a recurring message that is kind of universal to the experience, which is one that would be good for humanity to adopt, because the greed of man is the root of all evil.
Is there a big difference between psilocybin and ayahuasca?
Yeah.
Yeah?
There is, but ayahuasca is stronger. It's a more intense experience, the visuals, and it's longer. Psilocybin it's a different kind of thing, but you can still achieve great healing from it. But I think there's benefit to being in this setting where the shamans look after you, the facilitators are there to help if you need help, and then the next day you integrate the whole experience as a group with the shaman. You ask questions, they say, what happened, what did you see, how did this feel? Also part of that ceremony is they take you up during the night, during the full-on effects. The facilitator takes you up to the shaman and he sings a healing song to whatever intention that you've given, like an ailment on your body, a mental health thing.
Sure.
And that actually is the way that it used to be, because these shamans, they drink the medicine at the same time as you. So they're drinking it like 5 times a week for like their whole life.
Well, it's got to build up a tolerance in, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, so is that what you're looking at? Or would you be a shaman or a facilitator or what?
No, I wouldn't be a shaman. They have to study for years and years and years. It's a very respectful thing. It's like becoming a black belt in jiu-jitsu, that sort of mentality.
And you'd have to sing and...
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yeah. No, my role would be a facilitator, where I would be sober in the ceremony space. It's pitch black. It's big Maloka, like a big circle hut, massive, and the shaman's on one side. So you need to be brought up to the shaman and then back, and sometimes you need to go to the washroom. They bring you to the washroom and back in the dark. And also just be like... just a guy there that is for veterans is the thing, and having someone that's been through the experience and is on their side, and if they want to get out of there, I'll help them get out of there. Do you know what I mean? And this also letting yourself go in an environment, especially for a veteran who's been through war, is a hard thing to know that someone else is there. Like, don't worry, no one's turning up. There's no police going to come in. There's no animals for the real. Animals.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just that security blanket. So yeah, and also all the information leading up to it and afterwards. There's certain protocols you have to follow, like a strict diet 2 weeks before, and you're kind of weeding out technology and stuff in the weeks before and preparing yourself for the ceremonies.
So if people wanted to learn more about that, where would you direct them?
Do the Recce is my Instagram page. I'm actually got quite a bit of interest for my thing. I'm doing like a 6-guy trip down there, and I've pretty much filled that. But in the years to come, so I'm going to be doing one a year. So I'm going to be going in May, June, with veterans and guiding them. I did do a video about it on YouTube to promote that and just talk about my personal experience. Gotcha. It's like the first video on my channel. So if anyone wants to learn more, the reason I made that video is to show the facilities of where I go, the process. I talk about the things that I went through in the ceremony. It's kind of a behind the scenes look so people can get a bit of more information. But yeah, my thing isn't open to everyone anyway. It will be small knit team going down and doing it. And I won't be videoing it or nothing like that.
Come on, guys, come on down. Be on the YouTube
cheese.
Channel. Totally safe. Don't worry. Only us here, and then the millions of people who watch it on my channel. Oh man, is there anything we should be talking about that we haven't talked about?
I can't think of anything.
We should have pressed record at the beginning before we.
We had some interesting conversations back then, didn't we? Yeah, this year I plan to fight in the next couple of months. I've just released the book. I've got the YouTube channel. The YouTube is basically teaching the techniques in the book. So one of those videos, like a paragraph in the book, or a few pages, and I've got content for years from that because there's so much information in the book. So it's just a visual representation of like showing how the technique will work. That's the goal. And I plan to travel around the world and test my skills in dodgy situations. I feel like I can't just fucking live a normal life. I want a bit of excitement.
Yeah.
I drive boats for a living now, and it gets boring, and then the weather comes in and it's like fucking logs in there and there's waves and there's wind, and I'm like, yeah, this is it, let's go out. And then
You
they're
need
like,
that.
yeah, and then they're like, oh no, it's too rough, we're gonna call it. I'm like, fuck, come on, I want some excitement.
You know, when on the boat situation, I actually sold our boat recently, but had an aluminum Hughes craft about 20 feet long, 18-foot boat, 2-foot transom.
Nice.
And the people I bought it from, I was like, well, like, what do I got to watch out for? And they give me some ideas and weather conditions and all the rest. But they said, you know, you ever see a boat washed up on a beach somewhere? I'm like, yeah, the boats will make it if you can hold on, right? They can withstand rough conditions, much rougher than you're going to ever be able to withstand, because I was concerned about what the boat could handle or not. So if you just keep that in the back of your mind, the boat will do it.
Yeah.
Hold on to the boat and just go on through. That'll probably alleviate some of the trepidation that you might have in some of these gnarly weather conditions.
Yeah.
And it did. I just, all right, we'll just go slow. If you're going up and down and stuff banging into it, we'll get there. The boat will wash up somewhere. If we can hold on, we're good.
Yeah. Pretty resilient.
You need that excitement in your life. Otherwise, you're not living.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think everyone's like that.
Yeah.
I had a recent podcast with a fellow, and be coming out soon, but he's building a refuge for the man on fire. And he says he thinks that's the endangered species that we should be looking out for. That people.
Oh, the jellyfish, is it?
No,
the man on fire?
No, the man on fire. For the people who maybe don't fit into the rule system, who want to go out.
Oh, okay.
He's got 1,000 or 2 acres of property, and he wants to have about 30,000 acres and be able to do, you know, if you want to get crazy. Like,
sounds like fun. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. But he's talking about the spirit of people and how you need to have that sense of danger. Otherwise, you're not living. And,
Yeah.
And I see that theme coming up more and more again.
Exactly. Yeah. That's probably my midlife crisis, getting into bare knuckle boxing.
There you go. Hey, we'll do it while you're still young enough to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's all good.
Okay.
Happy, man.
Well, Sonny, thank you so much. It's amazing having you on the podcast as usual.
Thanks for having me again. See you next time.
Yes.